For our first use case, let's dive into demand forecasting. Now, most demand planning today still relies on spreadsheets. Now, what would our world be like without spreadsheet, right? And it's disconnected, backward looking, and heavily dependent on tribal knowledge, especially when demand spike daily, even hourly, or seasonality shifts. That leads to missed sales when you underorder and working capital locked up when you overstock. So in this demo, we'll show how an AI agent blend your ERP data with real-world signals to predict what you will need before the gaps appear. So with that, I would like to pass over to Gaurav, who will walk you through this demo. Gaurav, over to you.
Thank you, Khan. And thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. Let me share my screen and I will walk you through. I hope you guys can see my screen.
Yes, yeah, let's just keep up. Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with the data, right? So for today's demo, we are not actually going to integrate with any ERP system. So we will be the input would be a Google spreadsheet and the output also would be Google spreadsheet. So it's like easy for everyone to follow. So let's start with the data. So this is like a typical ERP data that we see, right? So it has all the different items, the product that one would want to order. There are the vendors who provide this order and the lead time and description about them. And then we have data about the sales, right? So there is a past year sales data and the monthly data for last 6 months, right? So this is 6 months from May till October. And then we have the inventory level, current inventory level, any orders that we have currently on the PO, and any quantity that we have on the sales order. So this is the basic data that we have extracted from the ERP system. Okay, so let me go to the very first workflow. So here we are going to do a demand forecasting. Okay, so this workflow has a couple of steps to it. So let me run the first step. So that is the first step, the data enrichment. Okay, let me run it and I will also walk you through this. So what this workflow is doing is like it's taking the data that we just saw in the work spreadsheet, right? It's taking that data and is going to that, putting the data into the AI model, okay, through an agent, and it is trying to enrichment. So this step we are doing enrichment. So enrichment, what we are doing is that we are taking the data we have, like the sales data, past data, and then we are adding it to it. Like the seasonal data or different indexes, right? Like, so there is a Google trend index, there is USA volume index. There are different indexes that and sources that we try to add to the base data. So it get indexed and then it helps down the line when we try to make the forecasting and demand, right? So right now it's doing that process. So it's taking all the data and it's finding different sources, right? So these are like now these are kind of a deep learning models, right? So and it takes a little bit of time because they are now more accurate and they provide like more predictable data. So it takes its own sweet time. So it will take a couple of minutes here to go through all the data, finds all the sources, right? And then come back with the enrichment data points. So let it run for I think it will take 1 or 2 minutes in that sense. And let me go back again if you want to, just take a quick look at what data we already have. So while that is running in the background. So, okay, these are all the different data points that we are going to, we are already sending to the model. Okay. So that is done. So this process, yeah, Khan, so you were saying something?
Yes, I was just curious. Given what you're showing here as a demo, we talk about inputting or sourcing ERP data table, right? But from a real world scenario, obviously we have multitude of different sources that we can ingest as well, correct?
Yeah, definitely we can do. So it depends on the system. So if they are open systems, right, that have APIs, that we can connect with the APIs. Then we can directly connect with their databases if they don't have any APIs, or if there is some restriction, like then we can export the data out of those systems in like in a tablet format, in Excel format, and then like similar to what we are doing right now, that can be done. So there are like again multiple options depending on what the system is, how it is integrated, right? It's like closed system, it's open system. So yeah, totally depend on that. But yeah, we have multiple options. Yeah. And so yeah, this step is done. So let me go back again to the spreadsheet. So what it did was, this is the analyst data spreadsheet that we have. Let me go back. So this is the original data that we have on the left, right? So we input everything, and then we have the index and as well as the US volume data. So we have 6 months. So we are trying to predict, like, so what's going to be the sales, right? Matrices and everything for the next 6 months. We are trying to predict the forecasting, right? Sales forecasting. So we are taking 6 months from May till October, right? And same we are doing for the US volume from May till October. Okay. So these all matrices are now added to the sheet, back to the sheet. So let's go to the second point. So the second point is actually the demand forecasting, right? So now let me run in, then I will walk you guys through it. So now what it is doing is, it is taking all the data that we just saw, right? The endless data we have, and it's again putting it in through the model. And now what the model is trying to do is, like, it is taking all the data, base data, like the historic data, as well as the vendors lead time, all the data points that we have, and also the end-risk data point that we collected from the first step, and it's taking all that data and trying to predict what's the sale prediction is going to be for the next 6 months, right? From May till October, what's that going to look like? So as you see, like it's again it's like a newer model from the OpenAI, and it's like it will take its own again sweet time, because it will do all that data crunching behind the scene and come up with those data points for us. And so one thing very like it's very we can say easy from this tool is that if we compare this with a traditional software development tool, right, and how we do there is, this tool is very easy to set up, right? Like it can be set up in a few weeks, and it's also easy to maintain. So now we feel these all companies, they are coming up with new AI models every few weeks and months, right? So Google is coming up with their new models. Anthropic is doing that, Facebook, and obviously OpenAI are there. These are the leaders in these terms, right? And they're coming up with new models. Those are like very accurate, right? They are fast and they are more predictable. So if later on, like we see that in the production system, and we see that, okay, the current model is a little bit lagging behind the speed or something, and we want to improve it with a new model. So it's very easy to replace one model with the another, right? It doesn't need like a lot of deployment time and anything. You can simply come back to the tools that we have. We can just replace it. So let's say the Google's newest model, right? The Gemini 2.5 Pro, it's more accurate, and now we want it to be that we want it to use it for data processing. We can just come it to our system. We can just like enable that model through the APIs, and it's like a plug and play kind of thing. So this kind of system nowadays, it makes very easy for us to like design these systems for the companies in the production environment. So it's like a very good benefit.
So Gaurav, just to emphasize a little bit more on this forecasting layer, right? The AI forecasting layer that's running right now. The AI model that you have referenced, applies multiple variable regression across inputs such as, let's say sale velocity, or, looking from a business perspective, right? It could apply like sale velocity, seasonality, weighting, lead time per vendors, promotional calendar, or even, weather or external search trend. That would help, to apply to this layer. Would you say so?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it takes multiple data points into consideration. So it also depends on what items you're selling, right? Who the client is. So in our case, we saw the items we are selling are food items, right? So in this case, the USDA volume data point makes sense. But if you are maybe manufacturing something aside, you're into metal or something else, right? Then we could choose a different data source that would make sense for that business case. So it's totally depend on what we are trying to achieve. But yeah, this model takes like multiple those data points into consideration, and try to predict the sales. So so this process is now complete. Let me again go back to the sheet. So now we have the forecast data. So we have the original data in here, okay, and then we have the forecast sales data, right? So this is from May 2025 till October 2025. So let's see. So if we go back to let's do a small comparison here, right? So yeah, so May 2024 last year the sales that was actually happened was 6148, right? The number was, and the model predicted that it would be a little bit higher for 6465 numbers. And similarly for June there was 4465, and it predicted that now the sales would be 5713. So similarly there's a variation between last year the sales in similar months and now for the same months, but this current year, right? So there's a small variation, and so that is across those different items. Okay. So I think that is the end of the first of the use cases. Over to you, Khan.
Well, thank you, Gaurav. So as we all can see, what's powerful here isn't just the math here, it's the timing also. The team can now align purchasing decisions with what the business will need, not just what is used to need. And you don't even need a new system in this case. This agent works off of your current data with results that can be delivered in days. So overall, this isn't just automation, it's decision support at scale as I look at it. The AI agent gives your team the foresights to prevent stock out and overstock before it's too late.